times are tough at the moment here at Hewish Park. What's the management been saying to you players to try and get yourselves out of it?
And the management have been very positive, the gaffer, like his record speaks for itself, and he's just saying we've got to stick with it, and the boys are behind him as well, so we just got to do that.
And Chairman John Fry's come out this week and publicly backed him as well. Is that good for the players? Does that stand down to a dressing room?
Definitely, because like we say, the manager himself, we all believe in him, and he's a positive person, so we just need to repay him, and the fans as well.
I mean, if you look back to the start of the season, could you imagine yourselves being in this position?
No, not at all. The pre-season went well against the big teams as well. Didn't really expect to be in this position, but we're here now.
I mean, can you give us a bit of an insight? What's it like in the dressing room when times are hard like this? I mean, is there any arguments among us players? Is there things being said that, to try and get yourselves out of it? Or is it a case of all clubbing together?
It's everyone really just clubbing together, everyone is remaining positive. Obviously you do have your little frustrations from time to time, but that's within any team because everybody wants to win. But everybody is remaining positive and there's no ill figures at all still.
And how important of a crowd to really get behind the team as well at times like this?
Oh, definitely. Obviously we're in this situation and we would need the fans to be behind us, but it's understandable, coming from the level of success that the club's had the last few seasons ago, the fans are craving that, and we just obviously want them to be behind us, but we also understand the situation, why they're acting the way they are.
On the pitch as well, one thing that's been pointed out by many people is the inconsistency, I suppose, of certain performances. I mean, you look at the transition between the first half and the second half of last week. How important is it to try and get bits of that second half and carry it on to the next game?
Definitely. The manager's one of the things that he's addressed, that we need to make sure that we start games like how we're finishing the second half of games, because first half sometimes if you're not performing in the first half, it could be the game over, so we need to carry that from the start of the game, the second half.
What do you think it is though that causes that? I mean, why is it harder to start games and not start them the way you finish them?
I don't know, it is hard to say sometimes. You could turn around and say, well, the teams have, when they're up now by a certain amount of goals, they might have gone defensive and whatnot. I don't know, it could just be, well, let's just play. I don't know, it's a hard one to put your finger on.
And in terms of yourself, how are you feeling about your own performances this season?
Personally, obviously I've had a few bad games I've not been happy with, but personally I've always tried to give my all every game anyway, so just always look at more or less the team anyway, unless the team's performing, I'm never really too happy with my performances anyway.
And on to the weekend. Carlisle's probably one of the worst places to go as an away game, especially for the fans, but no less the players as well. It's a long old trip. Yeah,
it's a long trip, but we're in a situation, and every place we're going to go is going to seem like a long place, so we just got to pull together and try and get the result. And
what do you know about Carlisle? I mean, they're pushing for the playoffs. They've got some goals in them as well. It's going to be a tough afternoon.
Yeah, we've done our homework on them as well, so it's just about going up there and doing a job, getting the job done.
And you're going to be backed by probably quite a small following because it is such a long trip, but how important are those fans going to be?
No, definitely. Even when fans don't really travel to games, at the end of the day, we know there's still fans at home who are cheering us on, so we just got to do it for everybody, and especially the ones that have made the effort as well.
And after this weekend, you've got a couple of weeks without a league game. You can turn your attention to a couple of cups. Is that good to have a couple of weeks away from the league?
No, to be fair, I don't know. I can't really speak for everyone, but for me, it's just need to win games really. Like whatever game comes, we just need to win.
The FA Cup's just around the corner as well. Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, just look forward to every game. Just really want to get a winning run on a winning run streak. To be fair.
Yeah. Well, in the cup, I mean, often it takes a bit of pressure off, because when you're not in the league, obviously there's pressure because you're looking at the table and all that kind of thing. But obviously in the cup, there's no pressure. It's just one game at a time. Do you feel that as a player, the pressure coming off?
Sometimes, but I feel like obviously the situation that we're in, I just think we need to just be winning every game that we participate in. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The gaffer's spoken a bit about having a lot of young players and perhaps a bit of naivety there. You're one of the experienced players, Nathan. What pressure does that put on you, to improve the team's fortunes?
Obviously puts a bit of pressure on it, but like I said, when the gaffer first asked me if I wanted to be vice captain, I took it. So it's just something I have to take on my shoulders and talk with the skipper as well, and just try and put out information for the rest of the boys.
And I spoke to Mark Laird, and he's one of the more experienced players as well. He said he's not that vocal, but he's there for the younger players. Is that a similar sort of thing that you do?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not really so much of a vocal person, but when I speak to people like I speak, and everybody understands where I'm coming from, as like you said, I've one of the experienced players as well.
And it's your second season back at Yeovil now, and it's been a tough time. You know, what's it been like coming back and seeing the club on a downward spiral rather than upward?
Yeah, it's definitely not been a good experience, but at the same time, it's, you know what I mean, like, it's been an experience that I've had to learn from, you know, and grow as a person and understand a whole lot more. So just got to take a lot from that.
And in terms of the playing style at the moment, Ryan Dixon's back. You two are sort of forming a partnership down that left-hand side. How helpful is that to have someone like
It's
him?
very helpful, especially if you've got someone there week in and week out, and you can kind of build a communication with each other. And Dicko's a very good player, and we talk a lot, to be fair, so we kind of getting a bit more of an understanding of each other as well. We speak on and after training as well.
Because I suppose also he has played left-back, so it means that you've got scope to push forward, and you know he can cover and do a good job.
Yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? I feel like if I do push forward, like you say, I feel like he will be there anyway to cover.